Good evening, you are watching ReNEWS in English. I'm Sona Tumanyan. And so, there is official confirmation. On August 7th and 8th, the Prime Minister will be in the United States and the trilateral Trump-Pashinyan-Aliyev meeting will take place. At the White House, Trump will first receive the Prime Minister of Armenia with the goal of deepening the Armenia-US strategic partnership, and then the President of Azerbaijan. After that, as stated in the official announcement, there will be a trilateral meeting aimed at promoting peace, prosperity, and economic cooperation in the region. After Raufoglu's post, articles about the meeting also appeared in the Middle East Eye and the Washington Post. A White House official told the Washington Post that it is possible a peace agreement between Azerbaijan and Armenia, about which will be announced at the meeting with Trump. However, the source did not say anything about the pre-signing.
Days after a leak from an Azerbaijani journalist, the government confirmed Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan's upcoming visit to Washington. At the White House, he will have a meeting with President Donald Trump, after which the American president will meet with his Azerbaijani counterpart, which will supposedly be followed by a trilateral meeting. Earlier, Alex Raufoglu, a journalist accredited to the State Department, citing several reliable sources, had reported on the social media network X that Baku and Yerevan are ready to announce their intention to sign a peace agreement in Washington as early as this week. The publication Middle East Eye had also written that although a certain agreement has been reached between the parties, Baku continues to present additional preconditions regarding the final content of the agreement, thus temporarily holding back progress in the negotiation process.
As sources have noted, the two leaders are expected to sign a memorandum of intent rather than a draft peace agreement, which would secure for Trump the diplomatic achievement he has been seeking in the region since last month.
Well, early news about the upcoming Washington meeting suggested that a peace treaty would be signed at the White House under Trump's auspices. Recent publications speak of a document with a lower status.
I don't think any treaty will be signed, that's my assumption, because as we saw from Azerbaijan, although before this, so to speak, words of praise were heard from Aliyev towards Trump, this time Baku is silent. This means it interferes with its plans, and I think there will be something intermediate, a memorandum by which the parties commit to reaching the signing of a relevant agreement.
Political scientists and analysts emphasize the importance not only of the document's status, but also of its content.
That document of intent has this problematic aspect. The issue is whether or not the question of the so-called Zangezur corridor will be in it. If it's not, that's very good. If it is, this can be called a preliminary signing of another capitulatory document.
One of the main obstacles to signing the peace agreement remains the so-called Zangezur corridor. According to the publication, last month the U.S. ambassador to Turkey announced that an American company could lease and operate the corridor for 100 years. As political analyst Suren Zulyan recalls, with such initiatives, Trump is aiming for the Nobel Prize, for which Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has taken the initiative to nominate him.
Since there are no expectations during the Russia-Ukraine conflict, he needs to show another small, but in any case successful achievement, demonstrating that he can once again resolve another conflict, the Azerbaijan-Armenia conflict.
Moscow, whose brokered November 9, 2020 trilateral statement's 5-year term is approaching its end, faces the need to reevaluate its role in the region. However, according to the international relations specialist, these processes do not signify the establishment of a new geopolitical architecture.
There will not be a new architecture for the simple reason that the West will not be represented in the South Caucasus in any way. That is, it is pointless to expect that there will be any American or, European military bases in any country in the South Caucasus.
The last meeting between the leaders of Armenia and Azerbaijan took place on July 10th in Abu Dhabi and lasted about 5 hours. According to the assessment of the Armenian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, that dialogue could become a serious basis for a comprehensive peace process for the benefit of a secure future. Mary Danielyan, Diana Karapetyan, Edgar Guloyan, ReOpen Media.
ReOpen Media spoke with Francois Rocheblanc, a figure in the defense of the Armenian cause in Europe, specifically about the trilateral meeting. The politician's position is the following: one should not say amen to all of Baku's demands. By the way, Rocheblanc is one of the authors of the law recognizing the Armenian genocide and for 30 years has raised Armenia's voice from the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe and many other high platforms. The full interview will be available this evening on our social media platforms. And now let's listen to a segment.
Et ensuite, ce même jour d'ailleurs, nous avions
Yes, first and foremost, I want to express my sadness and outrage that they are imprisoned in Baku. The leaders of Artsakh have been imprisoned for months. This is absolutely unacceptable. I condemn this step by Baku, but if you'll allow me, I would like to go back a bit. Years ago, when we, a group of former members of parliament, went to Armenia, we asked Prime Minister Pashinyan a question: what do you expect from France? The answer was clear: for France to recognize the Republic of Artsakh. And then, on that very same day, we met with the foreign minister at the time, Mr. Mnatsakanyan. To my question as to why Armenia had not recognized the Republic of Artsakh, he answered me, perhaps it will happen today or this evening. We are close to that recognition. Today, unfortunately, we are in a different reality. We have a different picture. And yes, I am very angry, because France did not respond to that call. And let no one say that Prime Minister Pashinyan did not ask for it. He told us that. I was not the only witness. There were about 30 of us, and you probably remember that visit. Now there is a new pro-Armenian resolution in the French Parliament. I am afraid that the list of those voting in favor will not include any representative from the France-Azerbaijan Friendship Group. I'm used to calling things by their names. At one time, when I was preparing a report on the economic relations between France and Azerbaijan, I wanted to form an investigative commission for it, but due to the pressure exerted by Azerbaijan, I was unable to obtain the approval of the French Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Yes, Azerbaijan has oil, but oil is not everything. For me, the person is what's primary. Let me remind you that Armenia is a Christian country and is proud of it. Seeing what is happening around Armenia today, I cannot accept it.
America is becoming more active and Iran even more so. A senior advisor to Iran's supreme leader announced yesterday that some states which are indifferent to both their own interests and those of the region have again raised the issue of the Zangezur corridor and are trying by various means to advance their illegal goals in the South Caucasus. The official directly stated that any country or government that attempts to repeat this failed effort will face a harsh response from Iran. There is no need to look for the addresses. These words are reaching the West. An Azerbaijani Ural truck exploded on a mine in Artsakh. As a result, 4 people were hospitalized with injuries of varying degrees. Their condition is of moderate severity. The explosion occurred in the area of the village of Vang. The Ural hit an anti-tank mine. Of course, when reporting this news, the Azerbaijani media is specifically emphasizing that the mine was planted by Armenians. Last week, Aliyev's assistant Hajiev also noted that more than 400 Azerbaijanis have been victims of mine explosions in Artsakh since 2020. Israel has taken practical steps, convening a session of the UN Security Council and demanding the release of the hostages held by Hamas. On the eve of the meeting, the ruling group in Giza published a video of a 24-year-old hostage it is holding, in which the young man appeared very emaciated. Security Council members acknowledged that the hostages deserve compassion, but countered that on the other side are more than 2 million Palestinians dying of starvation. The majority of Security Council members also did not shy away from accusations, specifically pointing to Israel for the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Data from the Gaza Ministry of Health states that at least 188 Palestinians, including 94 children, have died from starvation, while 61,000 of Gaza's Arab residents have been killed since the beginning of the war. The response to the accusations was, it seems, direct and harsh. Israel's Foreign Minister Gideon Star, who participated in the session, accused Russia, other council members, and the international media of spreading a huge amount of lies and anti-Israel falsehoods. According to him, Hamas is seizing the aid that enters their territory. U.S. spokesperson Stephane Dujarric in turn noted that there is no evidence to prove the aforementioned claim. The Security Council members almost unanimously affirmed Hamas's atrocities, but also concluded that Israel has played with the fate of millions of people. The situation in Gaza is putting forward contradictory theses, at least in the information sphere. A view from the outside, David Genjoan reports.
The horrifying events taking place in Gaza, including images of starvation and the human suffering of losing relatives, which are spread by Palestinian and foreign photographers and camera operators, are often presented in a directed way. They have the veiled purpose of carrying out the Hamas group's propaganda to evoke international sympathy and incite hatred against Israel. In Gaza, Hamas still controls the flow of information and uses and spreads selective or staged footage. On the other hand, Israel severely restricts international journalists' access to Gaza, allowing only short visits accompanied by the military. This leads to an information monopoly and the spread of its own propaganda, including disinformation about the adversary and the killing of other journalists whom the Israeli side accuses. While the parties accuse each other of spreading disinformation and engaging in propaganda, people in Gaza continue to starve to death.
We are living in hell, an unbearable hell. We are starving to death. There's no food, no drink, no water. Even the water we get is contaminated. We can't endure it. People's weight has been cut in half. There is no safety, no security. Security is also food, a roof over your head. There is no safe place where we can stay.
These days, the Hamas group released a video of an Israeli hostage, which showed how emaciated the Israeli, held captive since October 7, 2023, was.
It's very, very difficult for a very long time. For several months now, I have barely eaten with hardly any water. I eat very, very, very little. You can see how thin I am. This is not a fabrication. I am digging a grave for myself where I might lie for the last time. And truly, every day that passes brings me closer to that. Time is running out.
The video caused a great stir. For the first time, the international community saw details of the inhumane conditions in which the hostages are being held, also raising many questions about the purposes of the video's release.
We were together in this tunnel for more than 8 months, underground. In the video, just a few meters behind the operator, there's another room. And not a tunnel like the one we were held in, a real room with air conditioning and lighting. And they ate much better than we did.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has decided to fully occupy the Gaza Strip and expand military operations in the region.
We are in an intensive war during which we have recorded very significant historic achievements. Because we are not divided, because we stood together and fought together, we must continue to stand and fight together to achieve all the goals of the war: the defeat of the enemy, the release of the hostages, and ensuring that Gaza no longer poses a threat to Israel. This week, I will convene the government for a session to instruct the defense forces on how to achieve these 3 goals without any exception.
Local media report that if the chief of staff of the Israeli army does not agree with this decision, he will have to resign, which would mean a drastic change in Israel's strategy. Operations in densely populated areas, including refugee camps. The information war between the two sides deepens the conflict, hindering independent journalism and causing global disinformation, where each side uses the media for its own purposes, leading to the continuation of human suffering. On Monday, at least 63 Palestinians were killed in Israeli attacks, including people waiting for humanitarian aid, and another 5 people died from starvation and malnutrition, raising the total number of deaths from starvation to 180, of whom 93 were children. David Genjoyan, ReOpen Media.
In addition to these, Gaza is also a focus of attention in the European Parliament. Specifically, the leaders of the Socialist, Left and Green factions have sent a letter to the leadership of the European Union in which they accuse Israel of genocide in the Gaza Strip and demand that the European Union take immediate measures against the Jewish state. The European parliamentarians are convinced that the famine in Gaza has been artificially provoked. Let us listen to a segment from the letter addressed to the President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, the head of European diplomacy, Kaja Kallas, and the President of the European Council, Antonio Costa.
The situation can no longer be considered merely an emergency. There is undeniable evidence that genocide is being committed in Gaza. The European Commission and the European Council have not yet responded with the decisiveness dictated by our values and obligations.
Before speaking about the tense episodes of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, I'll report that U.S. President Donald Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff is in Russia and has met with President Putin at the Kremlin. The topic of discussion: options for a possible end to the Russia-Ukraine war. Almost 4 months have passed since the previous meeting. Let's not forget the deadline set by the U.S., either peace by Friday or harsh sanctions. And now, from the international newsfeed, I'll single out the tense Russia-Ukraine situation. On the night of August 6, Ukraine attacked the Rostov region and for the second night in a row struck the Tatinskaya railway station. A fire broke out there again and 3 families were evacuated. There are no casualties. Emergency services are working at the scene. The Russian military department also reports that last night they successfully shot down 51 Ukrainian unmanned aerial vehicles. Let's watch the video report on international news.
Intense military operations have continued in the Russo-Ukrainian war over the last 24 hours. 2 people were killed and 10 were injured, including 4 children, from Russian strikes in the Zaporizhia region. In 24 hours, Russian forces carried out 567 attacks on 16 settlements in the region. 2 more people were killed in a missile strike in the Sumy region. Ground battles were mainly concentrated in the Donetsk region. According to Ukrainian sources, Russian troops have captured the village of Popovyar in the Dobropilya direction and also advanced toward the city of Toretsk. The Russian side reported the capture of the village of Yanvarskoye in the Dnipropetrovsk region. According to the Institute for the Study of War, the Russians have also advanced in the Kupiansk direction. According to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, the Russians have lost 1,010 servicemen in the last 24 hours. According to the Russian side, the Ukrainian side has suffered approximately 1,295 military casualties. American political scientist Malik Dudakov has stated that Donald Trump's health is in the spotlight due to his age, and by 2028, a trend of young politicians will dominate in the U.S. In his opinion, the frontrunner among Republicans is J.D. Vance, while possible Democratic candidates include Pete Buttigieg, Gretchen Whitmer, and Wes Moore. Trump has stated that Vice President J.D. Vance is the Republican Party's most likely candidate in the upcoming presidential election, calling him a favorite and praising his work. Trump noted that there are also other potential candidates, for example, Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Donald Trump has threatened to raise tariffs on European goods by up to 35% if the EU does not fulfill its promise to invest $600 billion in the U.S. and purchase $750 billion in energy, thereby abandoning Russian energy sources. Under an agreement reached between Trump and Ursula von der Leyen in Scotland on July 27th, the U.S. promised to lower tariffs from 30% to 15%, but some European politicians, such as Viktor Orban, consider these terms unfeasible. The European Commission suspended a package of trade countermeasures on Tuesday, despite experts' doubts that the EU would have difficulty controlling private investments. The naval forces of Russia and China have completed joint exercises in the Sea of Japan, which focused on anti-submarine and anti-aircraft defense operations aimed at deepening the comprehensive strategic partnership between the two countries. The 11th Russo-Chinese exercises, which coincided with Trump's announcement about the relocation of U.S. nuclear submarines, were held ahead of Putin's upcoming visit to China. The parties agreed to conduct joint military patrols in the Pacific Ocean. China, while not condemning Russia's war against Ukraine, officially maintains a neutral position, respecting Ukraine's integrity but emphasizing Moscow's security concerns. On the anniversary of the nuclear bombing 80 years ago, Hiroshima Mayor Kazumi Matsui warned world leaders about the dangers of nuclear proliferation, noting that the U.S. and Russia hold 90% of the world's nuclear arsenal. The detonation of the Little Boy bomb by the U.S. in Hiroshima on August 6, 1945, instantly claimed the lives of about 78,000 people, and by the end of the year, the death toll reached hundreds of thousands due to radiation. In India's Uttarakhand state, heavy rains and landslides are hindering rescue operations in the village of Dharauli, where 4 people were killed and 100 went missing following floods and landslides on August 5th. Rescue teams, including the Army and disaster management forces, are having difficulty reaching the village due to blocked highways and continuous rain, while 11 soldiers have gone missing from the Harsal Army camp. Some experts link the frequent floods and landslides in the state to climate change. David Genjuan, ReOpen Media.
For a moment, let's break away from the chaotic currents of the international newsfeed and follow the concept of Trump becoming a dove of peace, especially against the backdrop of the US-Armenia-Azerbaijan trilateral meeting. The topic of the Nobel Prize is being pushed to the forefront. Trump's ally Republican Congressman Joe Wilson made a post noting what a peacemaking president the 47th leader of the US is. Congo and Rwanda, Thailand and Cambodia, Pakistan and India, and soon Azerbaijan and Armenia. These are the points on the map where, according to the congressman, peace has been established under Trump's patronage. And who were your childhood friends? Classmates, neighbors, the children of your dad's friend? Well, all right, let me guess. A dog or a cat? Okay, as an alternative, a parrot? But I have a different story for you. A best friend can also be a crocodile. Let's listen to the story.
While other children played with soft toys, Christian Collis was cuddling his childhood friend. Frau Meyer, as he calls his longtime companion, is a 2.5-meter-long American alligator. Although she spends most of her time under the Callis family's roof, swimming in the water and sunbathing, Frau Meyer can move with lightning speed or crush her food with a jaw lined with 82 teeth. Christian, who, like his father, is a former circus animal trainer, has been close with Frau Meyer for more than 30 decades.
We've known each other for over 30 years. Of course, there's always a risk. Even now, as I look at you, I don't know what's happening behind my back. In the past, when other children were playing with teddy bears, I was always with Frau Meyer. Of course, my parents were always watching me, so I was never alone. But nevertheless, I trust her. She is like an older sister to us. I trust my animal 100%. I can do anything with her because I won't cross her boundaries. I respect her personal space, and I think that is very important in this matter.
Callis, his father, Klaus Callis, bought the animal when she was 2 years old, more than 40 years ago. Since then, she has lived in a customized habitat on the family's property, complete with underfloor heating and heat lamps.
She has never attacked anyone, not us nor anyone else, because she trusts us. She has never experienced anything negative, maybe because she's American. The older these animals get, the calmer their behavior becomes. They're a calmer type of crocodilian.
Until 2016, Frau Meyer was part of regular circus performances. Now, the family only occasionally allows visitors to watch the famous alligator for free.
Ich finde Frau Meyer ganz nett.
I think that Frau Meyer is a really nice personality, and she also has a
very pleasant appearance. I love Frau Meyer. I knew that if you don't provoke her, she won't bite, but her hissing is great.
Although the alligator lady weighs 100 kilograms, Cowless says that feeding her is not difficult. She requires food once a week, a few chicken wings, beef, fish. In the winter, Frau Meyer eats less. If in the future the elder Cowless can no longer care for Frau Meyer, Christian promises to be by her side forever. Anna Haruchinyan, ReOpen Media.
Final news for now. The Armenian national football team has a new coach. Until November 2026, the team will be led by Yersha Melikian. Aware of the seriousness of the moment and with decisions that will contribute to the development of the national team and Armenian football, is ready to take on this path, as the newly appointed coach has stated. This is ReNews in English. I am Sona Tumanyan and I'm saying goodbye to you.